Hi guys, this is the Forgetful Scholar. I'm Jessica. Welcome back. So this week was a stark contrast for the last 2 weeks. It was a bit of a disappointment actually. I had two DNFs. Yeah, I did not finish 2 books. So let's just hop into it. I'm afraid this one's going to be a little bit of a rant. Well deserved, I think. Well deserved. So the first book is the Nymph King right here by Gina Showalter. I always want to say Shadow Walker, but that's not what it is. Now, this is my first DNF. This is the first book I read this week, and also the first DNF. This is the 3rd book from her that I've tried. I tried one of the Demon Lords one, and then one where they were alien gladiators fighting on Earth, but were frozen in time, and 2 girls who had chronic illnesses walked into it. I picked that one up because it was right after I was diagnosed and I was curious, but the chronic illnesses magically disappear within 3rd chapter. Anyway, let's not talk about it. Let's talk about this one. Now, I understand there's going to be a lot of fans of hers, and that's wonderful. Oh, what is my hair doing? What is this weird little... Hello, curl. ADD. Sorry. Okay. So, this one. The first scene is with Valerian, which is the Nymph King, and, you know, virility, Varillian, yeah, we get it. Alright. He wakes up in bed with 3 women. Now, the mythology of the nymphs are a little confusing to me. Were they incubi? Or, you know, they're just nymphs with their sirens? It was a little confusing. And with her men, I don't care about them. They all just seem like reskinned alpha douches. Sorry. There's like no redeeming qualities to them. I made it to page 231 and I just couldn't. Shay, the female, she was okay. You know, I just find there's just something about it. I just don't drive with her writing or her characters. For romance, I want to care about the couple. I want them to win. I want to root for them. I want to like them. And I just don't like them. I don't like her males. Her females are a little more interesting. But, and Varillian has like pheromones that he could weaponize to make women want him, which is a little like, maybe I didn't read that correctly, but that kind of put me off a bit. That was a little like, no. Seriously, just, they're all reskinned. The same character, all reskinned alpha douches. Donation box. So, second book that I read this week, also the second DNF, is Amelia Gray's A Duke to Die For. Now, this one, the characters were fine, if not a little boring. The plot was fine, if not a little bland. She's 19. Henrietta. She was so boring, I can't remember her name. And that's a cool name, and, you know, it's not a name I hear every day. I've never met a Henrietta in real life. Every time I hear that name, when I was reading this, I kept picturing the show Grimm, where that badass Hexen Beast was helping Julia and Nick, and Adeline towards the end of the end of the show. But like, no, she ain't a badass. She's kind of boring and forgettable. Case in point, I keep forgetting her name. She's 19 and she's been bounced around a lot of her guardians because they kept dying because she thinks she has a curse on her, or there is a curse on her. I don't know. I made it to 190 before I couldn't. The Duke is named Lucian. Everyone calls him Blake, and he has 2 cousins, Race and Morgan, which I think are going to be the other books in this Rogues Dynasty series. He becomes her guardian. He's like in his 20s or early 30s. I don't remember. I don't really care to remember. She's 19. He's attracted to her, but he's not going to touch her because like he's her guardian and la 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 la. I mean, the plot was fine, I guess. Just the characters were boring, and every chapter starts with a quote from their grandmother, from Lord Chesterfield, her very good friend, who's like the gentleman of gentlemen, and wrote, you know, how a gentleman should react. And they're in the beginning of the chapters. Let me see if I can find the chapter so I can show you, which is fine. You know, a lot of writers do that. You don't have to read those if you don't want to, so I don't mind that all that much. But in every other page, it felt like they were quoting Lord Chesterfield to each other. So the dialogue felt really, really contrived and broken, and there was no flow to it. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, who cares about Lord Chesterfield? What? I don't care about Lord Chesterfield. Move on. It kind of felt at one point like someone dared her to put as many Lord Chesterfield quotes in this book as she could. Well, that was instant regret. That was totally unforeseeable, yet avoidable consequences to that. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I'll deal with it later. Anyway, second DNF that's going into the donation box, because wow. Just wow. And then I read some Lisa Claypez because I needed a palette cleanser. So this is the first in the Wallflowers series, Secret of a Summer Night. And yeah, I've been hearing so much about the Wallflower series, so I was really excited when my used bookstore had this. The main character is Annabelle, and the main hero is named Simon. Now, Simon Hunt, he kind of made his own fortune. He is a butcher's son, and he's arrogant and, all this kind of stuff. But we're mostly in Annabelle's head, and for the beginning, I didn't really like her all that much. Her father passed away, so her family's in dire straits. And you do feel her desperation, because who hasn't had money issues? We've all had money issues. You feel her desperation. And, she can't get married because everyone knows she doesn't come with a dowry, even though she's gorgeous. And there's a lot of genteel men, whatever, circling around her, wanting for her mistress. And she's like, no, I want to get married, And her little brother's at school, and she's trying to find herself a husband to save her family. Now, to add the pressure on, her mother is, and, Lisa Claypez did a good job of showing that her mother was kind of unwilling, but she ends up being sort of a mistress for their father's longtime friend. He's basically paying some bills here and there to be with the mother, but he's not paying enough for them to be out of danger, basically, because Lord, I think I wrote it down, Lord Hogham, when I was reading this, I kept just thinking it was Lord Douchebag, because he wants Annabelle to be his mistress. So he's sleeping with the mom, and he wants to sleep with the daughter, and he's grotesque and predatory, and we hate him. Simon has always been, taken with her, but she doesn't want anything to do with him, because when we first meet her, she's a little snobby. And, okay, she was raised that way. She is titled, and she was raised to, the title is the best. The ton is the best, and, all that kind of thing. In one of the balls, she meets the other Wallflowers that become her best friends. The Bowen sisters, Lillian and Daisy, who are Americans, who are a hoot. They're pretty funny. And then Evie Jenner, who I can't wait to her book. She stutters and is sweetie pie, and I adore her. And I think her book's the third one. I think so. And I'm pretty tempted just to jump straight there, but I won't. I'll read the second one. I'll read them in order. So she meets these wonderful friends, and the friendship is really sweet. I think the friendship kept me going through this book, even though I didn't particularly like Annabelle. And there's some things she does that I don't. It's kind of like, all right. So there's one. They go to a country estate party, because of course they do. And Lord Kendall, he's kind of a nerdy, kind of quiet, shy, loves books kind of dude. And he's the last titled eligible bachelor of the season. So all of a sudden, when he was ignored, he's the target of all these desperate girls that, want to marry him, including Annabelle. Now, the four Wallflowers make a pact to help each other get married. And Annabelle, since she's the oldest, is first, and they're going to go in age order. So they come up with an idea, and basically, I have to say, it is mostly Lillian's idea to put Lord Kendall and Annabelle in a compromising position. Since he's a gentleman, he would be forced to marry her. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of messed up. But all right, she's super desperate because Lord Douchebag is there and is super creepy and is hounding her, and it's pretty scary. And Simon thinks Lord Douchebag is her. That she is the mistress of Lord Douchebag because another duke started spreading that rumor. So he's kind of jealous, and he's like, oh, you could be the mistress of him, but not me, blah, 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 blah. And Annabelle later on does start a rumor about another girl that Lord Kendall was interested in, and I was like, ooh, child, I'm trying to root for you, but that is not okay, especially since all these books I've read on the Regency era, a rumor destroys a person. So I was like, oh no, 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 what are you doing? You're supposed to be the heroine. Come on, don't do this. And to be fair, she does feel guilty right after, sure, but the act is still done and she doesn't try to fix it. So I'm like, and then a lot of cute things happen with the friendship, and she gets stung. She gets bitten by a snake, and Simon takes care of her. She kind of sees Simon in a different light a little bit. She's still a little snobby. So the night of the planned compromising of Lord Kendall happens, and she does say, no, I can't do this, I'm sorry, and she walks away and ends up with Simon, and the friends walk in on her and Simon kissing, and then that's how she's compromised and she ends up marrying Simon. But it's okay because he wanted to marry her anyway. Like, it's, I don't know if I'm doing a very good job explaining this. They did get married pretty much in the early half of the book, which I thought was interesting, considering usually that's where a book ends, you know, marriage. I did find Simon a little boring in the beginning, because you don't really get a lot of his POV, and he's just sort of the typical arrogant, I have money and title people are stupid kind of protagonist, so that's fine. Their marriage is really sweet, so I'm happy I kept with it. Their marriage is really, really cute. It, definitely upped the star rating for me, so it was really, really sweet. And in their marriage, oh, I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry about that. Jeez, I'm trying to stop saying so much. So sorry about that. So, you know, they find compromise. You know, Annabelle realizes, you know, being titled and being in all the best parties isn't really all that important, because she has a husband that she is madly, like, madly in love with, and he is madly in love with her. She has 3 amazing friends. Her family is happy and healthy. So, you know, she realizes that she needs to stop being a snob, and she stops being a snob. And their marriage is really sweet. So for the marriage alone, I put this at a 3 stars, because Annabelle was really hard to like, and Simon, you really didn't really know him until after the marriage, and then you started to kind of like the book. That's already around page 270. Yes, around 270. So that's kind of a long time to not really understand the hero too well, in my opinion. So 3 stars for this baby, but I am excited about the other Wallflower stories. So from that, I jumped into the Hedgehog incident, Meet Cute, from Gail Keger. I am so bad with names. A Parasol Protectorate story. So this is when Alexa, who we love, and Colin, who we love, first meet. And this one, I think this one might lead into a bigger discussion. But let's talk about the story first, okay? So this one was marketed as 44 pages. It was not. It was 28 pages. The other 16 pages were a sneak peek of a different story in the Parasol Protectorate world. So it was nice to see Alexa and Colin again. It was nice to see how they meet, and it was kind of fun to see Alexa a little bit more naive. So when they first meet, Colin kind of makes a sexual innuendo of how much he likes her size. She thinks he's calling her big and fat, and, you know, she's like, oh, how dare you, sir, the umbrage of it all. Huh! Kind of thing. So that was kind of sweet. We find out what happened with the hedgehog, because I was dying to know. The story alone, I wanted to put it at 5 stars, just for the nostalgia of it, of seeing them again, and like what's happening. And in the story, you do meet a werewolf that has 1 blue eye, 1 yellow eye, that I'm sure he has his own series, and a chaperone and a footman that seem to have a very interesting story. I don't know if they're in other stories, but the chaperone was Alexa's governess at one point, and she hints to the professor, the beta, in the Soulless book, knowing her father. So there is a little bit more world building in that, which I enjoyed. What I did not enjoy was paying close to $3 for a Kindle story that was only 28 pages, because the other pages were something else. So I did not enjoy that. And I remember the price being slashed too. And I was just like, oh, this is barely a novella and you're kind of price gouging a little bit. Like, it's because of the price. Because of the price. It's definitely like a 3 stars for me. And I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how Kindle doles out payment for authors, especially Kindle Unlimited. I have no idea. I'm sure Kindle, the invention of Kindle, kind of cut authors' paychecks probably more than in half. I don't know. And I get that. I understand it's a lot of hard work and stuff, but that, I mean, especially since 2 weeks ago we read The Games We Play, a novella, for $1.99. You know, and that was 13 pages, twice as long as this. So it's just, I definitely lowered the star rating because, like, come on, don't, it just seemed a little cash grabby. So because of that, like, a 4 or 5 star went to a 3 star because don't, I mean, we paid $3 on a Kindle for 28 pages of the story when it's advertised for 44 pages and 16 of the pages is a sneak peek at a different story, which I hate because I never like that. I never like that. I don't like that. I don't like reading a whole chapter at the end of the book that has nothing to do with the chapter about the story we're working on, and it's all about the next. I get that, you know, it's marketing and you have to do it. That's fine. Cool. I don't have to read it. That's the way that works, right? Yeah. Told you, this week was a little frustrating. Okay, so the last story is The Mystery of Nevermore, Snow and Winter, Book 1 by C.S. Poe. This one turned my ranty, frustrating week into a good one. I've talked about her last week. She did The Engineer and the Gangster Steam and Magic series, and this is a contemporary piece. This is also MM. All the other ones were FM, by the way, and this is MM, and it's contemporary, again, which is rare for me to read a contemporary. Usually they don't catch my interest. Something about a historical or paranormal romance, I can believe, oh yeah, you know, happy endings, happy la la. Modern, you know, contemporary, you know, modern day kind of sucks. What can I tell you? Real life sucks sometimes. So we are in the POV the whole time of Sebastian Snow. Again, one person POV usually annoys me. There's something about their writing, I don't know their pronouns, their writing, that really just is charming, and I don't notice that I'm only seeing things from Sebastian's point of view for most of the time. Like, I don't mind it. It's enjoyable. He owns an antique shop with all the mysterious and curiosities, and it's doing pretty well. He's also in a 4-year-long relationship with a New York SCI cop named Neil, who is very much in the closet. So 4 years is a long time because Sebastian has been out since college. So 4 years is a long time for him to deny himself, and it's causing tension in the relationship. And when we meet them, they're going through some turbulent times. I'm not going to give too much away because this is a pretty new book. But he does find a heart under his floorboards, very Edgar Allan Poe. And that causes a series of events where he meets Detective Calvin Winter. And a lot of things happen. You know, a lot of things happen. His life gets complicated, and I think in a historical romance, I would be much less lenient about how complicated this romance gets, because, you know, there's something about historical, especially Regency era, you kind of fantasize about it a little bit, you know, but since it's contemporary, I didn't mind how complicated Sebastian's romantic life gets, because real life is complicated. And real life relationships are complicated. So he is basically trying to figure out all these crimes. And I will spoil one thing. There are murders afoot. And he tries to figure out what's going on. And this was charming. I read it all in one day. The mystery had me turning the pages. I want to know what happens next. The ending was very satisfying. I'm giving it 4 stars because this is book 1 in so far. There's 5 books. The fifth one hasn't been released yet. So I think I will, once I've read all of them, I will do an overall series rating. But for this book, it's 4 stars. I really did enjoy it quite a bit. There's a lot of fun characters in it, including his dad. So this book, I feel, definitely helped me leave the week off. End the week in a happy note. You know? And again, she is an indie writer. She's independent, so again, don't know their pronouns, so I should just say they. My apologies. They are an indie writer, and go give some love if you feel like it. If you want a murder mystery with romance, go for it. Okay. So that was my week. Kind of frustrating, not gonna lie. But I guess we can't all have great weeks all the time, right? I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. So, see you later.